What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Mayrand podcast. For this episode, I got the chance to talk with Sam Zahner. The podcast is now on Patreon, which provides a great way for the listeners to help support the podcast. With your support as patrons, you'll be entered in exclusive monthly raffles this season, as well as getting shoutouts in the podcast, seeing behind the scenes, and even getting the chance to have a question asked to guests. Your support helps out a ton, so check it out at patreon.com/the Mayrand podcast. So with that said, big shout out to Will Cameron, first patron on Patreon. Thanks for your support, bro. Sam is a pro skier from the East Coast who now lives in Colorado. In the past years, he's made a name for himself with his top-tier rail skills and with the segment he's been putting out year after year. And with his most recent segment in Most Gutter, we can definitely say he's one of the best street skier of his generation. It was super good to have Sam on the podcast. We talked about his youth on the East Coast, head injuries, his new movie Most Gutter, and much, much more. A big thank you to this episode's sponsors, Access Board Shop, Planks Clothing, and especially a big thank you to J Skis for presenting this episode. I'm really thankful to have them supporting the podcast once again. I love their skis and I love their brand. They're a small business based out of Burlington, Vermont. They make their skis in Quebec and they're full of passionate people who love skiing. They make award-winning skis of all kinds, whether you're looking for a powder ski, a ski to go touring, a park ski, or an all-mountain ski. They've got it all. I've had Jason Leventhal on the podcast last year, and talking with him, you could see how passionate he is and the energy he puts into his company. This year, I'll be skiing on the J All Place Street Rat ski. I'm stoked to try them out soon. Check them out at jskis.com. Support companies that support skiing. Support J-Skis. Let's go. Mr. Sam Zahner, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm stoked to have you. What's good these days in the Colorado life?
Just living in Denver, started my own painting business. I'd been painting for years and figured I'd do it on my own with Pete Kukov. We do it together and just started that up in like May. So I've been doing that all summer, but ready to get going skiing.
What was the thinking behind starting your own business? I'm guessing not having the Red Bull dollars kind of pushes you there. What made you like start your own business versus just getting a job somewhere?
I don't know. I didn't really know what. I just finished college a year ago and I did business marketing, and I don't know. I just didn't really know what I wanted to do necessarily. There wasn't anything I was like passionate about trying to go do or like a career path. And I'd painted since I was like 19. And I'm like, hey, might as well just try to do this, do it on my own, make a lot more money than doing it for someone else.
How hard was it? Was it easy going off getting contracts? Because I'm guessing you get more money doing your own business, but then there's that whole pressure of actually getting the contracts.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. So Pete is from Boulder, so his mom kind of sent like a neighborhood email, which kind of got us started, and we got our first job, and then it kind of just spider web from there. And now we have like a contractor we work with and other stuff. So we've been able to stay busy, which is dope. Really wasn't too bad. Wasn't as hard as you'd think going into it.
That's dope. So does it change your financial situations versus the other seasons? Like, are you more comfortable going in?
Yeah, I mean, for the past couple, it's been comfortable. We've been able to get a decent little budget and stuff where I've, was able to not be stressing and actually like not even work through the winter and just focus on skiing and making the movie and doing all that work. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's better,
You're dropping your third movie under Strictly? Is it the third one?
So this year would be the third one, but yeah, but we split up and made 3 different movies. So
yeah,
but this would be the third year as like officially as Strictly. It was like the first year I made Banged Up that we had Gibberish put out, and then Andrew made Strictly Business, and we premiered them together at the Fox, which is the same venue we just went back to this year. So yeah, there was that one year where it wasn't actually Strictly, and then it was after that we're like, all right, let's all like get together and do it for real. And then we made Welcome, which is the first one under Strictly.
And then Bermuda, and this year Most Gutter.
Yeah, and Most Gutter and Wild Card, and then Gavin's movie August Light.
You've been known and loved in the ski community for a lot of years now, and you're known for your rail technicality and your just rail skills in general. I want you to tell me, like, where does that come from? Because I remember I first saw you at a Ski to East shoot back in 2013. there were a lot of people there, and I remember you and Keegan Kilbride standing out. Like Keegan already had his style, doing different tricks than everyone else with like grab combos, and you on the other side were just doing like super tech rail things, but like at a young age. So you grew up on the East Coast riding shitty mountain and got to be like one of the best rail skiers in the world right now.
I mean, I think that, that like sets you up for it almost for ski and rails. It's like they didn't have good jumps. And like, sure, I can do some jump tricks and stuff, but it's like they didn't have good jumps, and it was just like I'd ski night laps. It was icy. It's like I'm not gonna be flying off jumps doing tricks and stuff over just ice. So I don't know, just skied rails. And I'd go every day. I'd ski like every day almost from, I don't know, like 5 o'clock to like 9 or whatever it was when they closed, 9 or 10, just after school.
As someone from the Ice Coast, also, I remember riding the park when it was icy, and I wouldn't want to hit rails. Like, if you try something, you slip up and you fall on an ice patch, it's not really inviting.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's just what it was. So I was just used to, just made it work. I was just used to it. But obviously, yeah, the ice is terrible. My good friend Chris, who like taught me how to ski back in the day, he landed on his back on ice doing a backflip on his back and shattered his sternum. It's like, I don't know how, he landed on his back and it must have like pushed his ribs together.
Damn.
And shattered his sternum. Like, I don't know. The ice was gnarly. I don't know. It's too nice. You almost get it easy out here skiing in Colorado.
What were your inspirations or because you basically grew up in the early 2010s? Like,
yeah, so I grew up in St. Louis rollerblading. And then what happened was I moved to New Jersey in 2007. And then I think it was in like 2008, I was in 8th grade. I was like 12 or 13 or something. And pretty much in the winter, I couldn't skate. And my mom was like, my best friend Chris was a ski racer and he lived down the street. And my mom was like, you have to go skiing with Chris. I don't want you just sitting around because you're not skating, whatever. It's, there's snow around. And she's like, go skiing. I didn't even really want to. And I like went skiing, and Chris literally taught me how to ski on his like little sister's race skis. And that's kind of how it all started.
Started with 50-50 on boxes with race skis.
Yeah, like I remember doing like fives off of like a 2-foot little lip, like pretty much like a lip onto a rail, like doing like 540s off and stuff. Because I would do all that stuff on rollerblades. I would do like flips and spins and all that on rollerblades. So it translated a bit. Like I was like doing flips on skis probably before I actually like knew how to ski good.
That's crazy.
I'd like pizza down the hill, but still do like a Misty 7, like,
damn. Do you know that was basically like Kaya Tursky's thing?
Yeah, she was a rollerblader.
Yeah, she was like super good on rollerblades. And it's basically D-Structure who said like, hey, I think you should put on a pair of skis. You'd be good. And like she basically got on super quick.
Yeah, it translates pretty well. Not as well though as like I've seen like hockey players. I have a friend who was a hockey player, and then he started skiing and was so good so quick because they get the edge control.
Yeah,
the whole edge thing and the skis being long like definitely was like challenging.
How did you get into park skiing when you were a kid? Was it just like the drive as a rollerblader to try and do crazy stuff, or were you like watching movies? Because you rode the same hill as Sean Jordan, you told me, and some other guys that made it big. Was there like a pro skier or movie inspiration for you, or it was just like the love of doing tricks and those kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think at first it was mostly just that I wanted to do tricks and I wanted, to do flips and spins and stuff because that's what I knew on rollerblades. But I mean, obviously, like watching films came into play. I think the first ski movies I saw was like Refresh and Every Day's a Saturday. Those were like the first two that I saw. That definitely played a part, and I never maybe realized it because it took so long till I actually like started skiing street and stuff. But it was like even watching those movies, I would like watch the movies and like skip all the POW segments. I'd never even watch them. I'd just watch the street segments. So like
there was a calling there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, and those are such good movies to get you started.
Yeah, such a good like time in skiing right there. Because people always talk about like all the old stuff. I'm like, honestly, I have no idea. I've never really.
Well, to me, those movies are like as good as it gets. Like you can go into Refresh and look back to almost any of the street segments and they still hold up.
Oh, so good. Even like I forget which movie it's in, but like Ahmet's one segment with
The I Trip segment.
with the Chip the Rip song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still so good.
You skied a lot of park, got really good, and basically with the whole rollerblading, and I think you have some crazy in you, because if you were flipping on rollerblades at 12, I think you have that crazy factor.
I used to just go into quarter pipes and just do switch front flips like in quarter pipes on rollerblades is like my thing.
Dude, that's gnarly. With a helmet or no?
Yeah, I most of the time, most of my time in high school too, skiing, I wore a helmet, and I hit my head like a lot in high school, and then I stopped wearing a helmet and like didn't hit my head at all for like 5 years, 6 years, not like a single time with no helmet, doing all this shit. And then recently, the street skiing is a whole different thing.
Fuck.
And it's just, you're skiing like you got like an inch of snow on pavement, and everything's just sketchy. So that kind of changed all that.
And now it's time for a first sponsor break. Axis Board Shop is a sponsor of the podcast once again, and I'm stoked to have them. They support dope athletes, they sponsor video projects, and they put together the best events. They've been in business for close to 20 years, and they're still passionate about everything skiing and snowboarding. Whatever you may need this season, they've got it. Skis, boots, bindings, clothing, outerwear, you name it. So if you're in Quebec, go check out their shop in Saint-Sauveur. If not, check them out online at axisboutique.com. Support companies that support skiing. Support Axis Board Shop. I've rewatched all your segments for the episode, and there's a couple bails in there that they're hard to look at.
Yeah, my worst one was it's in Welcome, which was my worst head hit probably of them all. Like, because I've knocked myself out now once a year for the past 3 years, like out cold. And the worst one, it's really quick in there, but my worst one was probably in Welcome. It was that rail that it was in Duluth. It's that rail that like Noah Albandeo has hit where he slid. It's a red one. It's like a flat rail transfer to a down. And he goes to switch to it. And I was trying to 3-swap it. I was like super close. Like if the rail was probably like a foot longer, I probably would have landed and done it. But the down rail is a little bit short. So I was like barely nicking then. And that one, I hit the back of my head and just did they call it fencing, where you hit your head and you get knocked out and you stick your arms straight in there. And that one was bad. That one like got me for like a few days after. I felt like fucked up for a few days, which is long for me. Usually I bounce back pretty quick, but that one was bad.
Yeah, the whiplash on that shot seems...
Yeah. Well, and that's what got me all for too. It was like Alex Havey filmed it, and he films a lot of skateboarding, and he had a buddy who was a skateboarder who hit his head. And I think it was like 2 days later, he like started to not feel so good. So he went into the doctor, and they were like, good thing you came in. Like your brain's been bleeding this whole time. And like, if you wouldn't have come in, like you would have just like died, like something like that. And then he's the one who made me, he was like, go get a CAT scan. And then ever since then, I'm just like, fuck, every time I hit my head, I go get a CAT scan, cause I'm like, I'm not going to risk it. Cause who knows, even if I feel fine, cause usually I feel pretty fine. It's like your brain could be bleeding and you just don't know it.
Yeah. I don't know how much you want to get into that, but does the accumulation of head injury worry you at all?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely worries me, but then I always think like, cause who knows, you know what I mean? It's such a like, it's not like a set in stone thing, how that all works. It's like, it can affect people all differently.
Yeah.
And at least with me, like the thing is now it's like I hit my head and I just get knocked out so easily now, which I don't know if that has to do with like the accumulated head injuries. Like I probably have like, I don't know, like 12, 13 concussions. And probably like, if I were to say, probably like 5 or 6 of them are like significant. Like I had a couple in high school where I forgot like a whole day or two.
Damn.
And now recently where they all just like knocked me out. But all of them I remember up to like a millisecond before it happened. Like in my head, I remember like about the fall, I'm like, oh shit, in my head. And I remember it. And then I kind of come to like 10, 15 minutes later. I'm just like sitting in the van with my ski boots off and everything. And I'm just like, God damn it, not again. But I'll feel fine. I'll have maybe headaches or light will affect me for like maybe a day. And then I'm like, fine. Like I went in that one that was when I was filming X Games, that was pretty bad. I went into the doctor and they weren't even going to give me a scan or anything. Like, honestly, you're fine. They checked me out, like, seemed perfectly fine. And then I showed him the video. I'm like, dude, look at the video. And he's like, oh shit. Like, all right, let's do a scan. So I don't know, like, I don't know, something with my body. I always like come back pretty quick, which I don't know if that means anything for like long term.
It's weird. You see that with football players where, there's some that they all get a lot of concussions in their career and some end up really bad and others it seems that they're good.
Yeah.
Same thing with skiing, I guess, where there's a lot of times where even the lightest hit on your head is still kind of not good.
Well, they say it's the repetitive ones
that
are worse. And that's like kind of was my thing in high school. I remember like ski and park, like I'd hit my head and like not like it'd be like I could tell it was like a slight concussion. I'd see a little stars and stuff, but get up and be like, feel pretty fine and be okay, not forget anything, And like I'd do that like kind of frequently. That would happen, but it hasn't seemed to affect me too much. And I used to get all worried about it. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna get like CTE, like Dave Mira and stuff like that. And I don't know, like if you're like in MMA or football, it's like they get so many more. It's like the amount I have is nothing compared to all that. So it doesn't worry me as much as it used to. Always wear a helmet now.
Yeah, I'm that's what I was about to say. I'm glad I saw you wearing your helmet in most gutter.
I've been good lately because I've realized I used to not care. I'd hit my head and I was younger and I like didn't give a shit. And now I've, if the turning point was like when I hit my head filming for X Games, that one bad crash. So I was already invited late. I hit my head and Gavin was like, I'm not going to film you for 2 weeks. So I took 2 weeks off in the middle of it. Come back. I got 2 shots in Denver. And then I went back to like meet up with everyone else, the crew who was like in Montana. And then the first spot I tried to hit, which actually was Calvin's Ender in Bermuda. It was a flat rail 90-degree transfer to a DFD with like a fence right at the bottom. And I was hitting it at first and I fell and like, I don't even think I hit my head. Like I scrubbed through the clip so many times and I don't actually think my head even hit the ground, but just the whiplash that happened concussed me. And I like got all disoriented and forgot stuff.
Damn.
And that's when it freaked me out. Cause I was like, I felt fine for 2 weeks. And then this happens where I don't even hit my head and it concussed me. And I'm like, that's what really started to freak me out. And then also later that year, I saw Carson Kerr. He got knocked out and I saw it actually because I never see it. You know what I mean? All my homies had to like deal with like watching that shit happen. And I saw it and he was all like fucked up and hit his head and like knocked out and half asleep in it. Like I saw it firsthand and like that freaked me out too. I was like that.
Yeah, it's always something different from the outside. Like how much does the head injury work into your trick selection nowadays? Because like in most gutter you went hard. We'll get to talk about it, but there's a lot of crazy trick and shot and spot selection in there. Like how much does the maturity or like wisdom gets in saying like, hey, is it sketchy for the head?
Yeah, it did toward the end. So this year I was literally hitting a spot and I like bailed the side, but I like launched like 15 feet up in the air and I wasn't even worried in the air. I remember being in the air and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get toe bang when I land. And then instead when I landed on grass, just double ejected, hit my forehead in the ground, just out cold sleeping. I literally dented. I had a Smith Maze, dented the whole forehead in and I blew the MIPS out. The MIPS has the little yellow like thing that slides. I've like ripped it out of the inside of the helmet. And I'm just on the ground snoring, just asleep. Calvin had to run over and like wake me up. He's like, I was just snoring on the ground. And after that, I was about to just not even hit another spot. I was like, fuck this, I'm done, like for good, because this shit's not worth it.
Is that shot in the movie?
Nah, it's not in the movie. It looks really fucking stupid. It looks really dumb. It's just me flailing around in the air, and then when I actually hit my head, I'm hiding behind like the spot. So all you do is you hear a thud and then see me just slide out like 3 feet just on my face asleep. Just like just slide on the ground. It looks really dumb, so I didn't put it in.
And now it's time for another sponsor break. I'm stoked to have Planks Clothing as a sponsor again this year. I love the brand. Everything they make is top quality and super stylish. Planks has just launched their new No Skiing on Mars capsule collection. The No Skiing on Mars collection is a collaboration between Protect Our Winters UK, also known as POW, and Planks Clothing. With the sales of this limited collection made from recycled fabrics, they aim to raise over 5,000 euros. This donation will help fund POW's carbon literacy program, which is already changing individual and businesses' carbon consumption for the better. Mars may be the next frontier for human settlement, but it sucks as a ski destination. Our Earth is amazing and we must help protect it. No Skiing on Mars is available to shop now at planksclothing.com. Support companies that support skiing. Support Planks Clothing. Those are kind of the worst. It seems like I remember Dom Laporte back in the Tabarnak Pack days. He had a shot like that where he jumped onto a sculpture, did a stall, and then jumped back into the tranny, but he double ejected while landing and just fell on his face.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, he broke his jaw.
Yeah.
And I think that's a point where it was like you said, like that shit is not worth that. Like there's some injuries that you tell me because you've done it a lot, but it seems like there are injuries that you deal through it and like a broken wrist, you get a cast and you move on. And there's other ones where you're just like, dude, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, I'm at the point where like, dude, I'd rather like break both of my fucking legs than hit my head again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely though last year after that like changed my whole. Honestly, I didn't even think I was gonna be making another movie this year, but I guess we are. But I didn't even think. I was like, dude, I'm fucking done. Like, I need to stop. But it definitely played a pretty big factor in the spots I hit after the head injury, which I still hit a couple big ones, but. And I was fucking scared though, dude. I used to be able to hit spots and like go into this like mode where I just like kind of forget. I'll be super scared, but once the winch is pulling me and just like blank mind, like in the zone, and I like can't do that anymore. I'll be all tripping like the whole time. I'm like, I don't know, just because I'm worried about hitting my head. But yeah, it definitely played a factor in what I did. I kind of decided I'm not going to hit any more spots where I go up in the air high and come back down, like where I'm going to launch up like 15 feet up onto something and come down. I'm like that. I probably shouldn't do shit like that anymore. If I want to start high and drop low, probably better. You know what I mean? But like the whole going up and down kind of makes more of a risk. It's kind of what I've determined. I mean, who the fuck knows? I could hit my head doing anything, you know, but
yeah, but I think you're right because with the level you're at rail-wise, you probably won't hit your head with a rail trick that isn't too gnarly or too, I don't want to say gnarly, but too big in terms of size.
If the rail isn't like gnarly. That was like my ender clip of my segment in Most Gutter. That was after I hit my head, and I was like, it was just a little DFD where I did that front up, back 3 up. Mm-hmm. And that was like after hitting my head. I'm like, yeah, I can do shit like that still because there's not really much risk doing that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like there might be people that would try that trick, the front swap to back 3 swap, that would get wrecked. But that's exactly my point where in your case, at your level, that's the kind of trick where you're like, oh, that's safe.
Yeah, at least the spot is safe, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, I could do it on like try it on a huge rail and get played, but you know, on a smaller rail like that, it's like, all right, it's still like a valid shot.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the Most Gutter seg because they would props on that segment because it's, I think, man. Do you think it's your best one you've ever done?
Dude, I don't even know, man. Editing the movie and stuff too. I watch it all so much that by the time we're like done editing it, I'm almost like, is this shit even sick? Like, I don't even know. I'm like, I can't even fucking tell anymore if this is good or not. Like, I'm watching too much.
Well, on my end, I always wonder if there's a thing with recency. You know, the most recent thing you watch always seems better.
Yeah.
But I do think it's your best segment.
Sweet. Well, thanks. I'm glad to hear it because I think I had like 5 clips before I hit my head and I was like, that might be it. I'm like done. Like, you know, I was pretty over this shit at that point.
Well, in terms of big spots, tech tricks, just everything being super clean, I think your style has really evolved through the years where now it's like everything is super clean and there's a lot of variety in there. Some jumps, some rails, some transfers. There's everything basically.
Yeah, and it's funny how that kind of works because like it's not like I really plan it out that much. You know, you kind of
Mm-hmm.
find stuff and figure out what you want to do. But I think, you know, as time goes on, I have to get like pickier with what I want to do and what I want to show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can't just be doing the same shit I always do, or like if it's even a little bit loose, it's like, nope, I'm going to go do it, you know, however many more times till I get it exactly how I want it.
The opener shot really made me laugh, and
Yeah.
because the way it's edited is really funny, because you wait 20 seconds wondering what's coming, and the actual trick is a banger. It made me laugh because you're not a jump guy. Like, you won't get into big air at X Games, but you're still good. Like, you do dubs on jumps and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
there's also the head injury part where you're like, okay, you're towing in with a winch, reverting last second, doing a switch dub 10 on a street feature.
Yeah.
Like, how did you think of that, and how did you motivate yourself to do it, knowing like, and with all that mindset of like, is it worth it?
Did see, if anything, like doing jump tricks is almost like less risky because you go in the air. It's just you're in the air and you land. It's not like you got to balance on a rail or you got to time it at, like, I don't know. Almost doing that is like not as sketchy as some of the other shit. The revert, the jump before it was really sketchy. That was the part that I didn't think it was going to work. So initially we built that jump and I just wanted to do a switch 10 blunt, like a singular corked switch 10 blunt. And the jump we built had way too much pop on it. And I went up, I did like 2 switch 7s and the jump would just like fucking launch me. Like at first I didn't even think I was going to hit it switch. I winched into it once and I was like, there's no way I can go switch off this. It's not going to happen. And then I did it and I did a 2 switch 7s. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to just try to do the switch 10. And I end up doing a switch cork 9, like almost like a D spin and just over rotate and land on my back. And I'm like, this jump has way too much pop. I'm like, the only way I'm doing a 10 is if I do a double. And I like Calvin and then our homie Jack Pepper, they were filming, like Calvin was at the bottom and Jack was way at the side. And then Pete was running winch. And I hike back up and I look at Pete, I'm like, dude, it's only one way I'm doing a switch 10 is if I do a dub. And he was the only one who knows. They all like are on headphones together. I'm like, yo, just don't tell him because whatever. It'd be funny. Just don't tell him I'm doing this. And then I just did. I did it just once. That was it.
It's the type of gnarly trick where I guess you have to put your head into it, of really committing. And it must be sketchy if like you don't land it and you're like, okay, I have to go again and try that again.
Well, I went back up too. I was like, fuck, I could do this. I was like, I could do it better. And I went back up. I'm like, I'm going to do it again. I was going to do it again just to like try to make it a little cleaner. And then I remember I jumped in and just did like a huge switch 7 with like a spread eagle. And I was like, nope, fuck that shit. I'm not doing that again. It was definitely like a spur of the moment decision kind of. I came up, I'm like, I guess I'll do it. I don't know.
The trick is super good. Like, I feel you, like there might be a thinking of, oh, I could make it a bit better, but still like one try, you got it. That's so dope. And the in-run shot of the trick is so crazy because we see you coming in forward and your revert is basically like, what, 10 feet before the jump? 15 feet?
Yeah, like maybe. I don't know. Yeah, that was the sketch part about it. That's what I like about it. If it wasn't, I don't know. I don't really think doing like just a jump like that, it's kind of whack, honestly. Like just hitting like a jump in the street that didn't really like, all right, yeah, it's over a fence, but like whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what makes me like that shot, because it's like the top angle just looks fucked up because I'm just like the last second hop.
Which shot in the part stands out as, I guess it can be whatever, like your favorite or the one that was the hardest to get?
Dude, I don't know. There's so many. I don't really know. It's hard because I don't know, just because I look at it all so much, and I don't really know. Maybe that rail transfer, because that one little rail down there was so skinny. I was just scared it was going to break the whole time I was doing it, where I hit the flat rail and transferred down to that down rail.
Right.
But then also that 3 swap I did on that like little seed, it was like little curvy quad kink. That one is probably one of my favorites just because of the story to it, because I went there, and that's in Des Moines, and I went there the first night, hit it probably like, I don't know, 80 times or something, which like typically that might be the most I ever hit a spot. Like I feel like usually I hit a spot maybe like 30 times max. typically. Like,
and you get your shot. So you're quick. Like I know a lot of great skiers, and everyone has battles sometimes. Like 30 is quick.
yeah, I usually never. I think that might be like one of the few times, if not like the only time, that I like went back to a spot a different day.
And did you have the tree swap in mind?
Yeah, so I was at first I went to three something middle kink, but so I went the first night I was there. I hit that like 80 fucking times. It's like 4 a.m, and I like kind of ate shit toward the end. And I'm like, all right, like we got to go home. Like I'll come back, whatever. And yeah, it's like 4 a.m. I go back 2 days later. I slide the rail once. I slide half of it one time, and I'm like, all right, Calvin, start filming. First shot, Calvin filmed. Second hit, I just did the three swap and then left. Yeah, so it was like, that's why everyone, like, there's the clips of them all freaking out because like we go back and everyone's like, fuck, we're gonna be here till 4 a.m. again because we had to hit that one late night. And yeah, I literally just did it like first try the next night, which is crazy.
Dude, what do you think made the difference? Is it just like plain luck, or?
I think it's just luck, man. It's when you're doing that shit, it's like, as long as I'm balanced up, like I can do the three swap like every time. You know what I mean? As long as I'm centered up and can get that grip. And
yeah,
I think it's just luck. And I think there's something to like the more I try it, you know, you get more burnt out, but also I just feel like I don't know, the fresher almost you are, it's like better.
Yeah, that's something that happened a lot when I filmed street. Was it seemed like either the skier would get the shot in the first 30 try, or he would get it after 80 plus. Like the in between in the middle is always like,
yeah,
if you're getting at that point, you're not gonna get it. You'll have to work harder, and it'll get like there's a down part at the middle.
Yeah, there is. I mean, and besides that one clip, the biggest time I had that was, and I talked about this when I did the level 1 podcast, but where it was my last shot of my real ski. It was that huge like 8 kink. Like that thing's probably like 200 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
The shot, you can't really tell. It was, you know, if you filmed it from the side or something, you'd see it's really long because Will Wesson hit that same rail and his real ski just slid it. But like that 2 to switch I did, I'd probably right before it came off at the first kink, like 7 hits in a row. Came off at the first kink. And then I was walking back and Benny Smith and Swadberg were helping me with it. And I walked back, I'm like, all right, I'm going to try this like 5 more times. If I don't get it, like I'm coming back. And he's like, no, you got it right here. And after literally after falling off the first kink, like 7 times in a row, I just go in and just did it. It's like, I don't know. It's shit's random, you know.
And that one is like a perfect shot. You're like chilling through every kink. That rail is gnarly also because there's kind of a closeout at the end. Like the rail turns a bit 90 degrees.
Yeah, there's like a little closeout then. And also along the whole rail, the support beams are like, it has weird supports that are to the side of the rail that if you were like tail press too hard, you would you would catch the support beam. So you couldn't rock too much or otherwise you'd clip it on the side. So it was a weird rail for sure.
On that 270 on that 8 kink, you can see that it's the end of the day. Like you didn't have that much try left before there was no light, and it was like, you have to get it.
Yeah, it was. And that was the second spot I hit that day. I got, I forget which clip it was. It was either my opener shot or one I did a front swap to the donkey on another like 8 kink. I forget because they're all in the same area. But yeah, that was my like second clip that day too.
Yeah, that lip on to late switch up on the last king was so dope. It almost looked like a park trick where you don't get those kind of tricks in street where just getting the rail is so hard. But that was one of my favorites of your edit where not only is the rail hard, but you're like dropping in a late switch up as if it was just a donkey in the park.
Yeah, that was like a spur of the moment decision while I was on the rail because I don't know what my plan was, honestly. I was just going to like slide it or something, but I'm on there. I was like, oh, fuck it. I'm going to just do a switch up. Like, well, at first I wanted that was the rail I wanted to switch at first because they were both 8 kinks, but I tried it a couple times and it was like the kinks were too steep that it was like made it really hard. Like I'd 2 in and almost just land on the flat, you know? So, and they both were in the same town. So they both were like near each other. And I was only going to hit one of them, but then it ended up where I was like, all right, I did this front swap. I guess I'll go try to 2 into this other one.
There was a point where one skier could have 3 or 4 shots on the same rail. Like it seemed
Uh,
like getting as many shots as you could was a thing, and it got to a point where it's like, well, I get one good shot that I'm stoked on, and that's enough. Like I don't want to have 3 shots on one rail.
yeah, I think you could do if it's different enough or it makes sense. I feel like 2 is fine, but any
Mm-hmm.
more than that, I don't like to do that. I'd rather just get the shot and that's it. Also, like we don't really like to either like share spots because I hate when you and we will some, but I hate in like movies where you see the same spot keep coming up. Like I forget, I think it's one of those like 4x9 movies. Everyone hit this like it's some like retaining wall or some shit. It's like I think it's like All Damn Day is the movie I think, and it's like there's like a retaining wall that I swear is in every single segment, and that shit's whack. That annoys me. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Well, it's
and it's a different time. Obviously it's like you gotta,
but it's definitely a plus for you guys to actually put in the work to do different spots for everyone, because that's something I noticed in most gutter. I guess it'd be cool if you tell me more about it, but to me, from what I know about your crew, it seems like you're all together for the whole season, just getting the movie done. And almost everyone, like, there's no repetitions in spots. Like the spots Pete has and Calvin has.
Me and Pete shared one spot.
Yeah, that's it. So it's really cool that means that there's a lot of teamwork involved, where at one night you say, okay, Pete, that's your spot, and then everyone helps and he gets his shot. So yeah, tell me about that crew mentality. It reminds me a lot of Stepped.
Yeah, I mean that's how it is. It's like I think overall for the sake of the movie, I don't like seeing the same spots a bunch. So it's like, all right, even if sometimes there'll be a spot where I'm like, damn, I kind of want to hit this, but like, oh, Calvin's gonna hit it. And I'm like, all right, that's fine, you got it. Like I'm gonna just not do it, because I think for the sake of the whole movie, it's better. And yeah, I mean, dude, we'll go like I think to make most gutter, man. I think like I bet you we did less than 40 days. Probably like 30 something days that we actually like shot. And we did a good bit in Denver, which was nice because Denver actually got snow this last year. Dude, we'll go on trips and just like, we'll get like 3 or 4 clips a day. Like we'll have like kind of a rotation and just like ski all day and then into the night, just like go fucking hard. And it's draining, man. Cause you're mostly just shoveling. Like I mostly just shovel and film,
Yeah. Like I remember the most I did was 3 spots a day at some point. Like you wake up early, you do one in the morning, you get the shot, eat lunch, get another one in the afternoon, eat supper, and then set up the lights and do one at night. But that's like something you can't do that too much and repeat because you're drained out. Like,
oh yeah, this shit's terrible. But and it wouldn't be like that often. Like we probably had like 2 or 3 days total that we got 4 clips in a day, and even 3 was low. Like we would at least get 2 though. Like every day we're on a trip for sure.
mm-hmm. But I guess if not every skier hits it, then it helps because while someone is like draining energy in the morning, you still have yours to get your shot afterwards.
Yeah.
If it's one guy per spot, and it's also more quick because I've done spots in my life where there's 4 guys hitting the same spot, and then it's just long for nothing because everyone's waiting after another to hit it.
No, yeah, because if I do think we shared a few. I shared 2 spots with Calvin because he also did a dub underflip on that same jump. So we both hit that, and then we both hit that dub kink too that I did the front up back 3 because he lip 2 disastered it.
Yeah.
And then it was me and Pete on that one, just like a flat rail with a drop. But so a little more than we typically would do. But I think that's like it for the whole movie. But it gets to the point where it's like, yeah, you're waiting. It's like, all right, like get your clip because I'm trying to ski before it's like I'm just sitting around,
Yeah.
You don't want to be sitting around super long. Like you just want to be skiing and get it done. So that can be nerve wracking.
Is there some spots where you had to do like rock, paper, scissors? Because you don't want to repeat it, but then both or like a lot of guys have a trick in mind or want to do it?
No, not really. I guess me and Pete did rock, paper, scissors. Who was going to hit that drop rail first? But that was it. Which that was sketchy because there's like a whole like car meet thing, where people like have cars and meet in a parking lot and like race them. And we're there at like 2 a.m. And there's guys just flying because you land into a busy road, and it's like that's why we had to do it late. And there's guys just flying by in cars doing like 100 while we're trying to hit this, and it was so terrible because we went there like 2 nights or a night before, and the winch just didn't start. We built it all. We're like waiting. We're like, all right, I'm gonna wait till it's a little later, less traffic. I'm like, all right, let's go to do it. The winch just doesn't start. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, and wouldn't turn on.
Damn.
So then we went back 2 days later, and
So that spot is like at a Fast and Furious Vin Diesel Paul Walker spot.
dude, at least that night it was. It's at a Walmart. It's not like it's a, not typically, but it was like, damn, the first night was just so good, and then we go back the other night, and it's like, oh, there's like fucking car races going on.
Dude, that would have been crazy to have shots with the neon lights and with them guys reacting to you.
Well, dude, then also, and it was over in like kind of a sketchier part of town, and then there's some guy too that was there that's running around like freaking out, asking us to help him. That there's like 2 guys after him that are gonna like kill him. He's like, dude, they're gonna shoot me, man, and he's like tripping, running all around. I'm like, dude, they're gonna come here and shoot you. Get the fuck away from us. I don't want to have anything to do with this. And that was like a whole distraction too, plus the cars, and like definitely was like a stressful spot, just into the road and all that. But
yeah, the encounters that you have in street is like either it's super cool and mellow, or either it's always like the sketchiest thing. Like I remember maybe around the refresh years, Level 1 had their old camera gear stolen because they were filming at a ghetto area, and they had 2 cameras, let's say, and they went to one to check out a shot, and when they came back, basically their whole camera gear was gone.
that's you can't ever leave that shit on. I know Calvin years ago in New York City, before we really made movies, but he was skiing some street there, and he was like back in Jersey with me, and I didn't go for some reason. He was with my other friend Jake, and yeah, he sat like it was like a GH3 or something. Like this was years ago, and yeah, he sat it somewhere like on a car, and someone nabbed it real quick and like didn't even notice till like a bit later, and you gotta always be keeping track of that shit,
When we go to street spots, I always keep it in my backpack, and I always keep my backpack on my back because it's like I'm not leaving it anywhere.
Yeah, you can't. You really can't.
How was your interactions with people this year? Because in every movie you've done, you always put some shots of that. There's some in older movies that like people want to fight you. Some crazy ladies.
That lady had banged up. That shit was unreal. That shit was so funny.
Tell me about that, because I rewatching your old movies, that made me laugh a lot, because you're basically talking with strangers and they're all stoked, and then you turn the camera and there's that lady that like looks out of her mind.
Yeah, it was in Boston at a Verizon store, and the 2 other guys were employees, and they were like hyped on it. We're just talking like, yeah, I go skiing, like I go to the bar mostly, and like shit like that. All Boston as fuck, and they were super cool. They're like filming me on their work iPads and stuff. And then I don't know what was wrong with this lady. She comes out and is like furious out of nowhere. That was super funny. She like attacked Calvin. She like attacked like onto like the hood of the car. And he's like, that Calvin filmed all that. So he's holding the camera still as she's like attacking him. That shit was hilarious. And then the cops came, they pulled up. Literally, Calvin just walks over to the cops. The cops don't even get out of the car. They gave like, when you're in like real cities like Chicago, New York, Boston, like they don't give a shit. Like the cops don't. They're like, oh, you got to go. And we're like, yeah, we know. Like we're packing up. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right, cool. And just doesn't even step foot out of the car.
Yeah.
Pulls off. Like he didn't fucking care. It's like, oh, you got some kids skiing. Like word. Like
they have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, like real crimes to deal with, Like,
yeah. And plus, even if she wanted to do something, he's going to be like, well, she assaulted me.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. I don't know what's up with some people, dude. There's some people that get so butthurt and mad about this stuff. It's like, dude, just go on with your day. Don't fucking worry about us. Like,
That lady was like the meme of a Karen.
Yeah, but like she was like big too, like a big lady. Yeah, that shit was hilarious. Nothing too crazy like that happened this year, but we had some like good interactions. Like in Milwaukee, this random lady, randomly, she walked by our spot and was super interested, and like we talked to her and stuff, and she watched for a while. Then randomly 2 days later, she just happens to walk by another spot we're hitting. And then we saw like a random kid who was in the movie who had donated to our van fund. Mm-hmm. He randomly saw us in Milwaukee and pulled up, which was super sick.
The one that I thought was the coolest, like just made me happy watching it was the Asian guy that was
Yeah.
hyped about Calvin's front flip. Were you there at that encounter?
Yeah, that was crazy. Well, I didn't even realize I wasn't like I must have not been right there when because Calvin filmed all that stuff. And I must have not been right there, but then when I saw the footage, like I was there, but I was like down at the van or doing something else. Yeah, that shit was too funny. I was like just almost like it was like almost too stereotypical, like in a way. I was like just crazy how the dudes I was like, I don't know.
The
Not to be like racist or anything, because I'm not, but it almost felt like I was like, holy shit, this dude sounds like a South Park character or some
yeah,
shit. And I was like, holy shit, that footage is so good though, and that guy was so hyped. Like he hung out like the whole time.
the character from Shitty Walk.
Yeah, literally though. Like his voice, it was so just like stereotypical that I was like, footage is insane. So funny.
A thing that was funny is he was talking in he was right to say that. He was saying like, you guys are mathematicians, it seems,
Yeah.
calculating the distance and everything. And I know from an outside perspective it can seem that way, but knowing what we do, it's like there is no calculation at all. It's just like go for it and it will work, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, the more you do it, you're good at gauging stuff, right? But you're all just guessing. I'm fucking terrible at math. Like, I don't, like, yeah, it is funny that's what, it makes sense that he would think that.
We could get into like big thinking about the distance and the angle of a jump. And most of the time it's just like you're shaping it, scraping and saying like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you hit it and you realize, oh, you got to change it a little bit or whatever.
You get a mistake, you fix it, another one, and then, okay, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, that took so much fucking work to build that thing. Because we had to carry all the snow up these stairs onto there. And like you see right after that clip, there's the in run. That's like nothing.
Water.
It's all just melting. Yeah. It's like there was not much snow there. That whole trip, we went to Chicago, then to Milwaukee, and that whole time for like 2 weeks, we're just like scraping up piles. There was like no snow like anywhere in the country,
There's some spots like that I saw you guys doing that I was really stoked on, because that front flip is huge and it's super dope, but it's also, I think that same spot was hit by LJ in level 1 back in the days, like maybe,
I think like the rail of it.
yeah, the C rail. You guys think of doing a jump and there's no snow, so you have to work super hard to get the snow there, and you're still like, yeah, let's put in the work, it'll be worth it.
Yeah, and I mean, we built the jump with a picnic table and like 2 barrels of hay. Helped as like the base for the jump, which also we did a lot. We did a lot of stuff like that red rainbow rail that I did the front 6 off of. We had like, I think 23 pallets under that thing in that jump, like just a big ass stack of pallets we like makeshifted together for that.
Yeah, that shot is so dope. I think, is it possible that you posted a tease on Instagram with all the pallets? Because I think I saw that this winter and was like, what are you guys doing?
Maybe, yeah, I think I did. I think I took a picture of just the jump on my story in like the middle, like when we did it in winter. And I just took, because I was like, this looks fucking ridiculous. Like,
and that's like the perfect example of a spot where you can only go at night, because it seems like it's the entrance of a business.
Yeah, it was like Chow's Gymnastics was the business in Des Moines. If anyone wants to go there, Chow's Gymnastics in Des Moines. And we stole all the pallets from like, there's like warehouses nearby, and we just would take shuttle laps in the van and just brought all these pallets over there.
Yeah, and the shot is so sick. It's just a straight shot, static shot.
Yeah.
Where you just see the in run, the trick, and the landing, and there's just Chow's Gymnastics.
Yeah.
It's such a dope visual.
Yeah, that was my first hit on it. I like did one of those like backseat launch, like I took off backseat and just aired over the whole thing, flailing. It was so loose.
You mentioned that quickly. You guys are basically traveling year round with a van.
Yeah.
Traveling circus style. And from what I understand, it broke down, or there were some issues that you had to fix, and you did a GoFundMe last summer.
Well, so what happened was we had a different van that we bought, and it was parked outside of my house in Denver, and these people were evading the cops, like in a cop chase. And they were going like 70 down a residential road that like you should drive like 20 or 15 miles on. Like, you know what I mean? They're doing 70 miles an hour, and they bottomed out at the end of the road they're in like a Camaro or some shit. and they bottomed out and swerved and hit the van, pushed it like 10 feet to the side onto someone's lawn and just totaled the van. And then they all hopped out and ran. They were like drunk too, like drunk and evading the cops. And the car wasn't registered or insured. So we pretty much just got fucked on the car, on the van. So that's why we did it, to get a new one. We're like, literally, we just got fucked on the van. Like that was wild. The car had last been registered to a prison. Because I guess when you're in prison, I guess that's like your address, and you can like register a vehicle to prison, I guess. I never heard of it till this, but that's a thing apparently. But yeah, it hadn't been insured or registered since 2016, and it was registered to a prison. And these people all get out and run.
So that must be weird if you guys get pulled over while driving, because they ask you for your registration and then it's linked to a prison?
Well, no. So the people who crashed into the van, who were evading the cops, they were registered to a prison, and so because they didn't have insurance or anything, we just got, and we didn't have coverage that covered that.
How did that whole GoFundMe thing go?
It went good. People were happy to donate, which is dope. You get a lot of people together. And
how much fun did you end up getting?
I think like it was like 9,000 something, which was sick. Which is pretty damn good. Yeah. And even though they're older vans, those Astro vans are like super sought after and hard. They're like hard to find because they stopped making them in like 2005, I think.
I think that can maybe lead us into another subject, which is you guys seem like you've really get a lot of love from the public, because I think in our era where ski movies are free and a lot of content is free, it's really hard to get people to put out their credit card and give some money. And if you guys manage to get 9,000 for your van, it seems like people are really into Strictly and into you guys, that you and Calvin and Pete and the other guys. Do you notice that? Like,
yeah, I mean,
how do you think that came about, of people being that stoked on you guys, on your crew?
I honestly, I don't even know. It's so sick though that people are like, we're all so thankful, and it is crazy. It is pretty awesome to see, like just skiers that are down for it. And I guess, something has to do with it, probably with us putting out high quality stuff like for free. And we really believe in that, because we had like talked about selling the movie before, and I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to do that. Like, whatever, we'll pitch all this to sponsors and get them to fund it so we can make it free. So we don't have to charge for it,
Like, were you getting demotivated at some point? Because you've been having a lot of success in the past years with sponsors that we'll get to talk about, and movies and Strictly and X Games. But to me, I almost felt bad for you at a point, because I had seen you and I was seeing your edits and I knew you were good. But it seems like you got in at a weird place where a lot of crews stopped making movies. There wasn't Poor Boys, there wasn't 4x9, there wasn't Stepped, and it seems like a guy like you wasn't getting his chance. And
I guess there might have been a time kind of after some of that, like, damn, thinking that, that's going to like win this and it's going to help launch the career or whatever. So I guess there was maybe a small point of it, but I don't know. Stuff started just picking up with like Gibberish was huge too, like getting with them, and those guys are the best. And that I feel like helped with some of the motivation, kind of got us going. Like we made the movies for them, like Banged Up and stuff like that. And just to see like all the love we got on that, I think was good motivation. And then just,
you didn't think too ahead of yourself. You were just like each season at a time.
Yeah. Like at first I didn't even want to do the thing with Strictly. I just wanted to make another movie with Calvin and do it how we wanted to do it.
Seeing the list of writers, it seems like it was just your crew going in and becoming Strictly, because it's basically the same writers as you were doing your movies before. Yeah.
So Strictly was like Andrew Mildenberger. It was his thing. He went to film school at Boulder, and he would film a bunch of park edits with like Parker Norvell and Benny Smith. And it was pretty much them that kind of like started the thing. And then he was like, after we teamed up for the premiere where we premiered Banged Up in their movie Strictly Business, Andrew was like, I want to get more street stuff going, and brought Calvin in kind of. And Calvin was like, I want to do this because I want to have like the higher production value, because like we didn't know what we were doing. And like over those years is when I really learned how to use a camera like better. And he wanted to do that. And there was a point where I'm like, I didn't want to do that. I'm like, don't do this shit, Calvin. Like, let's do our own thing still. But I'm glad we did. It all kind of fell into place.
I think it helps a lot when you have people helping out with the filming and editing.
Yeah.
The whole production value that you've gotten in the last 3 years is really nice.
Yeah, it for sure is. And and they were like Gavin and Andrew, both great filmers. And like Gavin then, because most Gutter, I filmed like pretty much me and Calvin, pretty much. I took the lead on it, but it was just me and Calvin filmed it. Like,
so it wasn't either Andrew or Gavin?
No, neither of them. And Andrew filmed one clip.
Really?
Yeah, that was it. So I filmed like most of it, and then Calvin, and then like everyone would use a camera some, but pretty much it was me and Calvin. Like I didn't run the winch once, you know. I'd never, like Seamus and like Pete did that, but
you guys did a good job.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. And a lot of that is I've always used cameras. Like even when I was little, I'd make rollerblade videos, stuff like that. Like I've used cameras my whole life, and like me and Calvin filmed Banged Up too, and like edited Banged Up.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be honest, there's a world of difference between the two.
Well, I was going to say, like, I didn't even know I knew no settings, you know. I knew about, like, angles and stuff, right? I could always kind of do that pretty good, but, like, I didn't know any camera settings with, like, a DSLR. I always would use, like, a dad cam, you know. So with Banged Up, I just, like, cranked the ISO and all the wheels till it looked okay. I didn't know about, you know, f-stop and, like, shutters, all that shit. I knew nothing. So then when we filmed Welcome, I don't know, Gavin coached me like a lot. Like I still filmed even in like Bermuda and Welcome. Like I still filmed a lot. Like I probably filmed like almost half the street stuff in Bermuda with Gavin by my side, kind of coaching me. So then it was good that like come this year, I'm like, all right, I've got it where I can do this and kind of run the whole thing and set cameras and all that stuff. And same with Calvin. Calvin learned a lot too. And so, you know, the both of us just learned a bunch more where we felt good enough to like go into this, to be able to film it up to par with like the strictly quality.
Well, that's really dope because I didn't think it was you guys. I thought it was Gavin and Andrew.
No, yeah, Gavin had nothing to do with it at all. And Andrew filmed one clip. Andrew helped though on the back end. Like, well, like we edited the whole thing too, and then passed it to Andrew, who then stabilized stuff and fixed the ramps, like the speed ramp, and did audio and like color. But we did a little bit of that stuff. Like we did as much as we possibly could editing. And like I've had years of experience with Premiere and stuff like that, but like obviously nothing like Andrew. Like Andrew's great at all that. So
you guys really have a stepped vibe. The tightly knit friends that are working both in front and behind the lens and producing high quality stuff.
Yeah, I guess. Well, that was my main thing when we kind of transferred over and started the Strictly thing. That was why I didn't want to do it at first, because I'm like, I want to edit this. I want to make it how I want it to be. You know what I mean? Which was dope that we, for other reasons and stuff, that we ended up making 3 different movies, but I'd kind of always wanted to go back to making something like Banged Up, which was sick that we were able to do that with Most Gutter, just at like a higher level.
I'm not sure if I'm remembering right. Is Banged Up the one where you guys hit street in New York City?
No, that was before.
That's 70-30?
Yeah. That was the year before.
New York City seems like the most uninviting place to hit street. And there was a lot of sick spots in there.
Dude, there's so many spots. Well, so Estrada, our homie, RIP, he was like an OG rollerblader, dude. So he knew a lot of these spots. And we went there and stayed with him, and he showed us around. And I had known him before, too. I had met him when I was in high school, actually, because I lived pretty close to New York City. But, yeah, I mean, it's dope there because, you know, they got bigger shit to do. They don't – in New York City, you could get away with doing fucking anything. Like, Denver, it's not like that. You'll get kicked out and stuff. But, like, New York City, you literally could do whatever the fuck you want, and nobody cares. Like, it was the last clip in that movie where I hit it was like a transfer into this long kink rail. Mm-hmm. There was literally like a cop standing across the street watching me saw tree branches off this tree and just didn't even walk over or give 2 shits. And I'm like, I remember like, all right, I guess I'm going to like do this. And I hop up there and I'm sawing branches off this tree with a cop watching and nothing, like whatever.
As someone who's never been to New York City, like I've been once but didn't really look around, is all the spots kind of in the Central Park area? It all seems like Central Park-ish.
I mean, dude, it's so big. I'm sure we only tapped into probably like fucking 10% of it, like, and we were there for like 11 days. And
But was that it? Was that Central Park?
no, Calvin hit one spot in Central Park, but no, it was all like more Harlem. So Estrada lived in East Harlem. So we kind of just stayed around there. Cause I mean, dude, in a car, it's a pain in the ass. It'll take you 30 minutes to drive 3 miles. It's like,
Is that a spot where you'd go back?
yeah, for sure. If it made sense, it's just fucking far now coming from Colorado. Like, you never know how long the snow's going to last or anything. Like, we definitely sent it when we went out there too. We were paying for all our own stuff at that point. Like, we were funding it all and so poor. Like, I remember me and Calvin like covered for our homie Mike Coppola. He was back home in Jersey and we like covered for him. He did a maid job and we like cleaned like 5 houses real quick, made maybe like $600 each or something like that. And we were like, fuck it, let's go. And we just sent it, just hopped in the car and sent it.
Wow.
It's just so far. Like this year we didn't really go too far. The furthest we went was like Chicago.
Well, it's still a good drive.
Yeah, like 14 hours, which it's not that, whatever. It's not like, I also drove to New York in a blizzard. So it should have been like 25, 28 hours. And it took us like 30 something. I'm driving down I-80, seeing flipped over semi trucks. And I'm in like my Subaru Outback. And I'm driving down there just with like a foot of snow in the highway, just in the middle of the road, just like surfing through this snow.
Yeah, that's something that I talk often with guys from the US is how much us in Quebec, everything is close. Like we don't go further. Like we stay in the province, so
Yeah.
we know all the stuff. It's all within a reasonable driving distance. And so we have all summer long to see what we wanted or what would be doable, and then we just do it in the winter. Versus you guys, it seems more like an adventure. Like, hey, there's snow in Des Moines. Let's spend like maybe 2 days driving across the city to find something because we've never been. Or how is it for you guys driving to new cities like that?
Yeah, that's how we do it pretty much. We just drive there. We'll scope around the first day. Usually, like, we find stuff pretty quick. Like, Pete's really good at finding shit that I wouldn't look at and thinks a spot. So he always finds a lot of stuff. Yeah, I mean, as far as Denver spots, we have, like, we find stuff all the time and have, like, a log of all that. So at least when it snows here, we're like, all right, we know what we're going to do, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, other times, like, we just drive there, get there. Is there snow in a city? We'll just go and just figure it out.
Is that stressful at all for you guys? We have X amount of days. We need to get it done. Fuck, we need to find something.
Yeah, it definitely has been, but it has been at points, but like not really. I don't know. It works. It seems to just work out. Someone's going to find something, you know what I mean? And as long as we're filming something, that's good, You
kind of got to keep the stress level down and have faith that everything will work out.
Yeah, which it always does. I mean, dude, we went to Omaha this year, and that's where I knocked myself out. So that I hit that one spot in Omaha, knocked myself out, didn't ski for a whole month. I just filmed for a month. And, yeah, because the doctor's like, oh, give it 2 weeks. And I'm like, dude, bullshit. You guys don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I'm waiting a month. Like, I'm not messing around, Like I told you about how I, with the X Games, I hit my head 2 weeks later and got messed up again. And, but yeah, so that trip was a bust though, dude. We were there for like a whole week. I think Pete might have got 1 or 2 clips, and Calvin hit like 3 spots and didn't get a single shot. I knocked myself out. We were there for like 7 days and got like a clip or 2. And I was like, that shit sucked. That was when I was like, all right, fuck this. What am I even doing? Like, why am I even like, this isn't worth it. I don't get paid enough to do this bullshit because this actually sucks. But it works out in the end. I mean, that trip that trip was terrible, but come the end of the year, it all falls into place and worked out.
Yeah. You have some trips where you get so many shots, then some where you don't get any almost, and then it all kind of evens out.
Oh yeah. I think when we were in Chicago. So after that trip, we went to Chicago and I just filmed the whole time. I didn't ski in Chicago at all last year. And, dude, I think with everyone else, we got like 15 shots in like maybe like 6 days or something like that. which was
That's
sick.
dope.
Yeah, that's where it really came together. We were just like stacking, just going hard. And also that was Seamus too. Seamus was definitely like hungry to get after it, and he got a lot of shots for sure, which was sick though. And I was stoked too, just to be like filming it, because I'm like, all right, I'm just chilling, just shoveling, filming. Like I don't have to stress out about skiing or doing something gnarly.
Seamus was one of my standout for the movie. Like he's been known since he was a kid. Like he was in Gibberish edits when he was 5, it seems.
Yeah.
But like he had a lot of bangers this year.
I mean, dude, he'd been hitting streets since he was like 12. I didn't even put skis on my feet till I was 12, ever. And yeah, dude. And yeah, and well, also we hadn't filmed with him since like Banged Up. And so it'd been a couple of years, and he definitely was ambitious, and the kid's really good too. And he just like freestyles his shit. I swear, he'll have like no plan and just like pull some shit out of nowhere. But he's good, man.
Yeah, he had a lot of shots that made me go whoa.
Yeah, dude.
Like there's this one closeout rail, I think it's in Minnesota, where he does a lip on back 6, and
Dude.
it's huge.
Dude, yeah, we didn't Oliver film that. We weren't even there. That was like the Zoot Space homies filmed that, and they just gave us the footage because Seamus wanted it all to be in one segment. Yeah, that was fucked up because a lot of people have hit that spot, but he just went like, cause I think Keegan has a clip where he front sixed it. Literally makes Keegan's shot look like tiny. Seamus went like 20 feet further, almost landed in the road. Like,
yeah,
it was kind of loose, but like it was so big that like whatever. It was that shit was crazy.
Yeah, that's the exact definition of loose but lit.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I remember after it happened, he like texted me the shot, like onto my phone. I saw it. I'm like, yo, what the? It was funny too because it was the same day that Calvin was trying to do a back 6 off a closeout that was way smaller and couldn't do it. He kept getting played and he was getting so mad. And then after he like finally gives up, we go in the car and I get this message from Shamo and I'm like, yo, look at this, Calvin. Look at this back 6 Seamus just did. That was fucking huge. And he's like, oh, word. All right. Well, good thing I didn't waste any more time trying this shit, after seeing that.
Yeah. And there's also a shot doing a switch cork 5 to concrete.
It's like, dude, that thing was glass. It was like a emblem that was it was concrete with a bunch of like chunks of glass set into the concrete, dude. It's gnarly. That thing would like tear you up. It shredded the sleeve of his hoodie when he fell on it once. And like,
just trying that is so dope.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. There's like some clips in like a snowboard film where these dudes just like drop in real slow, natty speed and like board slide down it. It's just funny seeing that because it's like, just because Shamo then goes and switch cork 5s onto it, like way gnarlier.
There's so much good stuff in the movie. I think another one of my standouts is in Pete's segment where there's kind of that, it seems like in a public park, just a roof where there's no roofing. There's just metal.
Yeah, that thing's big too. That's in Denver.
And he just slides it, but there's no trick involved, but there's just the fact of sliding it is sketchy as fuck.
When he had that crash where he turns sideways, turns back forward, and goes to ski through. I was filming the back angle, and I saw it from like far away, and I was like, holy shit, I thought that could have been bad. He got lucky. There were some cross supports that he barely rode on. Like if his ski would have went under it, he probably would have like blown his knee or something, all tangled up in there, And that was gnarly. I remember he was like tripping on that one. He like didn't want to do it, and I'm like, Pete, you got this. Like do it. We just scraped all this snow together, like, because he kept crashing like just into it and didn't think it was gonna work. That was definitely like a battle.
You're a skier, you're a producer, you're a filmer, you're an editor, but also in those times you're like a psychologist, kind of sports psychologist.
I don't know, man. I guess I mean everyone does it where you don't necessarily actually want to do this, but you feel like you like have to do it.
Kind of help him, like his skills, he's gonna be able to do it, he needs that push in the back at that moment to keep going.
Right, yeah, at points where it might be that like, yeah, I have more confidence in him than he does in himself, at points, and it happens with all of us. At times, you're always gonna doubt yourself almost more than your homies will that see you, succeed and know your capabilities almost and have more confidence in you than you do in yourself, which is cool.
And that's something really cool about having your crew where you all know each other, you all know each other's skills. And I don't know, you might know that you know he can do it. You know he'll be bummed if he doesn't get it. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna push you there, and you'll be thanking me afterwards.
Yeah, and because also like I want it to happen because my biggest concern will be just for the movie overall. I'm like, we need this, you know?
Hmm. Does it bum you at all to have that pressure of the broader picture of the movie? Because at the basis you're a skier, but as you told me, like there's trip where you didn't ski at all, where you were just filming.
Yeah.
Does that bum you at all, or are you stoked on that aspect of the production?
No, I like it. I like, producing, doing all that. Like I'm hoping this year to get maybe some more guys in it. Maybe not ski as, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I think maybe not ski as much, but it's hard, man. I always think too, like, oh, I'm gonna take it easy, but it's like it's hard to. You see something, get an idea, and I'm like, shit, I got to do this. Yeah, I'm hoping to get some more people involved and make more of. I want to make it where it's like more just homey put together, not like individual segments. Like kind of just have like a whole mix up of the whole movie, and just get more people in it.
Do you have some people in mind?
I mean, so the POW guys. So pretty much, it's gonna be like Andrew's gonna do his stuff and film all the POW stuff, which I'm hoping to like hit a jump or two. Would be sick to hit like a POW jump. But as far as street, I don't really know. Ryan Stevenson. I want to get him some clips. He's from Jersey. He's the boy, and he's so good, but like so underrated for how fucking good he is. Yeah, that's like the only person that I've really talked to that I talked to him. I wanted to get him some clips last year, but it just didn't end up working out like that. But so hopefully that's really the only one I actually have in mind at this point.
One thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the sponsor situation, because you've kind of had a not the easiest routes with sponsors, because a big factor that helps you with what you do is either film crews helping you out, which wasn't really the case. You had kind of to create your own content, and then it's if sponsors back you. There's some people that get a sponsor when they're 15 and get like with them for their whole career. And to me, it seemed like a bummer because the first big one you got was Revision, and as an outsider, it seemed really unclear what happened. They kind of appeared, sponsored a lot of skiers, and then disappeared at once. And then you were kind of in your first years of making it. How sketchy was that situation, or how much of a bummer was it?
Yeah, it was definitely like a bummer, but also I never really was like too worried. I sent like a couple emails and just got linked up with Jay like pretty quickly, and which is a way better ski and like so much better. Like I could actually use like even with skiing street, I could go by like I could use one pair like the whole year.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And be fine. Like my skis I skied street on last year literally are like still fine. If you just get a base grind, you ski them in the park, be fine.
But yeah, that leads me into where you're at right now, which is really cool. You got with a brand that I think fits you super well, which is J Skis. How was that relationship started, or how did it get together?
I literally just sent them an email, and they were just like down off the bat, like no real questions. They're like, yeah, we're down. Like, let's do it. Just sent me some skis, and then
got on from there.
Yeah, and they're dope. They're sick too because it's sick too to have like their sponsor that I like them and Gibberish, and like who I'm actually like friends with the people that run the company, and I actually talk to them frequently enough, and like we'll go see them and stuff like that. Like with Gibberish, it's easy because they all are in Denver, but still with Jay, they'll make a point to like get the team together, do stuff at Hood, whatever.
Something that is really cool about Jay regarding you is that there's a lot of brands that have gone outside of the park scene or the street scene, and there's less and less pro models, it seems.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool what they did of giving you an opportunity to get your pro model out there, because it seems like to me back in the days brand would work hand in hand with the rider to help each other, and now it seems like there isn't that. So I thought it was really cool when they gave you the chance to have your own pro model.
Yeah, super sick. And that was something that I had like thought of when I first started riding for him, and like it took a while because I hit him up about it with like a whole proposal and stuff, and which it took a bit. But I was like, yeah, if I'm ever gonna get this, this makes the most sense, because like other companies, you need to you need to wait. It'll take them like they have their skis planned out 2 years ahead. You know what I mean? Where Jay can make them in like make a new ski and have it within like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and with how they do all the custom graphics, I'm like, yeah, this like makes sense.
What was the process like from your first proposal to the first Street Rat version?
Wasn't too bad. That it was pretty rushed because I kind of hit them up almost too late, but they were down, and that one was pretty rushed. And to be honest, like I was never super hyped on the like actually on the graphic. It was sick going into the second one because we had more time to plan it out. Like I got a pair like last February or something, so I was able to ski in the street on them some, and then their guy Mark Fink, he designed both skis, but then I think the first one they kind of outsourced him, and then before we did the second one, they hired him on like full time just as Jay's like designer, and it was sick because I got to work just closely with him. We just a lot more thought and effort went into the new ski, and he killed it, which was sick. That was like his. I knew I wanted the van on there and stuff, but like the vision, like a lot of it came from Fink because it's called like Fink Artwork, where they have like if you Google it, you'll see they show like rat rods, like cars with like drawn with big engines popping out the front. And I didn't even know about that. And he was like, yeah, to get the rat tied in from the year before and stuff. And he like sent me all this art and I'm like, damn, it's pretty sick. Like, all right, let's do it. And that like, so a lot of that was him, which was super sick though, because it worked out well and he killed it.
The artwork is so dope. There's so much detail related to street skiing. There's the rat who seems to be operating a winch. There's the no trespassing fence that is cut off.
Yeah.
Dropping into a rail. Did you have a spot in mind of a rail you wanted to draw, or it was just a generic one?
Nah, dude, Fink just like did that. That wasn't. I didn't even. He just like did that, threw that in there. That was like a whole extra thing.
I like the first one also with I like best the second one also, but the first one with the all black graphic and the base with Hungry Days and Thirsty Nights, I thought was really cool.
I mean, yeah, they're still doing like I was still stoked on them. It's not not to like downplay any of that, but I definitely like the new ones a lot.
Yeah, with the fence and the horns in it.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to get some more color into because the other ones took a while to sell and stuff too. Because I think a lot of times people buying J skis want brighter graphics. Although, like if I could pick, I'd just make a fucking solid black pair of skis. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of the customers want something that pops a little more, and that was also a factor in making the new ski because I'm like, all right, I need these to like sell a little quicker, which they've been, which is dope. So,
well, I'll be skiing your ski this season, and
yeah.
The graphic has a lot to do with it. I think it's a good in between where the artwork has a lot of colors, but also it's just the rest is just white, and it's not too much.
Yeah, it's not too much. Yeah. No, I agree because, yeah, I don't like bold, bright shit really. But I also, they had Realtree camo skis years ago. That was my favorite ski. They were white on the top and orange on the bottom. I literally had them pull the same color orange for these skis.
Yeah.
Because I remember getting like, there were like some street shots I got at night. And I was like, those bases just popped and looked good on film. So I was like, that was part of it too. I was like, all right, I want to make the bases orange.
Yeah, I was rewatching those segments and I was like, whoa, did he already have those skis back in the day?
Yeah, they look almost the same. Yeah.
I'm guessing with those pro models, you get some type of royalty out of it.
Yeah.
How helpful is that as, someone who's putting out free content? And as we all know, like the ski industry is not what it once was.
Oh, it's definitely super helpful. Like, like last year I was at least at the point where I made enough that I didn't have to work through the winter and could just focus on the skiing, which was huge to be able to just go on trips and just, and just focus all my time into that. So, it's not like I'm making a bunch of money, but it's enough to get by for the season and stuff like that. One of the things too, we'll have like our budget for the movie that pretty much, like the money I get from Jay is a separate thing just to me. And I have other money that comes in from sponsors just to me, but we'll pitch and send to all these sponsors and get a whole budget for the movie that pays for all of our lodging, gas, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much the only thing through the winter that I have to pay for is just like, my my food and rent in Denver. So
That's dope.
it's not bad. Like last year was able to actually do all of it and actually like make some money off making the movie. Like have everything covered and still come out with like a few $1,000. So not too bad. That was the first time that actually happened like that was this past year, which was sick.
Because with the free content, you guys have less avenues of getting that money. Because thinking back of Stepped, they were similar to you guys, producing movies like you guys and having sponsor support, but they were also selling hundreds, if not thousands, of DVDs, which you guys don't have.
Right, and that's the thing. You think it's like, I would assume like if we sold it for like $10, you probably could sell it at least. I'd think at least 2,000. I bet.
From my experience, every time you ask people to get out their credit card, you lose so much people.
Oh, you do.
But you guys have a lot of hype, so I'd be curious to see how much you could get.
Right. Well, then that's what I'm saying. It's like, say you sell it to 2,000 people for $10. It's like, all right, that's 20 grand. Like, that's not bad, like, which I think we would be able to do. It's like Bermuda has like, I don't know, 130,000 plays or something. You would think you could sell at least 2,000 of them when you look at it like that. Who knows? But also whatever. I think it's better to pitch to the sponsors, hey, you do this, we'll get your stuff put out and we're doing it for free. So give us money so we can do this and make it free.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool to see how you guys are basically the gibberish team.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, when you think of gibberish now, I think of you guys. Like for a long time, gibberish was Wallish and a lot of the older generation. And I don't know when the switch was, but it's really cool now to see that basically gibberish is really trusting you guys and you guys are basically the poster boys.
Yeah, well, it's sick too. I feel like gibberish kind of had a lull in like just in those few years leading up to before we kind of got involved. It kind of it wasn't like what it was in like 2009. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is sick. I mean, they're super thankful for us as we are for them. Like they were like literally like they were like, you guys doing like the skiing and all the stuff you're doing like helped a lot. Like they started selling more and they've been doing good. Like they've been killing it and also they've been great with us and they all are just like our good friends, which is sick.
To close off the episode, what can we expect from Sam and the crew this year?
We're making another full movie, so Powder and Street all together. Probably just the filming's probably just gonna get better. We're gonna, we'll upgrade our cameras and stuff like that. I don't know. I tend to think I'm gonna kind of like chill out a little, just because I can't keep hitting my head and getting hurt and all that. But easier said than done. Once it's hard to hold myself back. But
will we see Powder, Sam?
I don't know. If they're nice enough to piggyback me on one of their sleds, but I want to. I definitely want to get some clips in there. Hitting some backcountry jumps would be sick.
It's always dope to see guys that we're used to seeing in the street doing some pow jumps or some stuff like that.
I know. I want to like, since we're going back to one whole movie, it's like, all right, it's not just a street movie. Also, we want to get a park shoot, which we're trying to figure out, which would be sick.
Seeing stuff like your the park edit you guys made this year, I want to see all you guys in a park shoot.
Yeah, hopefully with COVID chilling out, hopefully we'll make it happen. Probably just be filming a lot too. Hope to get some new faces in there, but probably put more effort into the filming and filming like B-roll stuff, because that was one thing with editing like that we kind of were lacking on. It doesn't seem like it once it's all put together, but that was like the hardest part of making it. Because I'm like, damn, I actually should have filmed more shit besides just the skiing, That's
always a challenge where you spend so much energy on getting the shot as a skier and as a filmer, like going there and shoveling and getting it, that sometimes you tend to forget to get other stuff around.
Yeah, and it's hard with me because usually I'm the one kind of leading that stuff. And Calvin's good about it too, though. He's good with like shooting B-roll and stuff, but then when it comes to editing, I'm like going through my shit. I'm like, there's no B-roll shots of me. I got nothing. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I'm always the one filming everything else. But we all kind of realized it. So I think come next year, we'll put a little more effort and be a little more like, pay more attention just to shooting stuff like that and just to the overall film besides just the skiing,
Well, thanks a lot for coming on, Sam.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me.
Really cool talking skiing with you.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope we get to see another Sam segment, and
Yeah, we will.
Just wear your helmet, and if it's too big or gnarly, just don't.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at. But we'll see, man.
Thanks for doing it.
Sweet. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
So this is it for episode 23. I hope you enjoyed it. It was really cool to talk with Sam, and always super interesting to have some insights into movie projects like Most Gutter. A big thanks goes out to Jay Skis for presenting this episode, and also a big thank you to Access Board Shop and Planks Clothing for sponsoring this episode. Peace.